Interceptor 650 is a great motorcycle, but let's start at the beginning, shall we? Where it all began. It was 1893 when the latest bicycle batch rolled out of flexible bicycles was called Royal Enfield. Later, in 1901, the first Royal Enfield motorcycle was unveiled. These motorcycles were originally manufactured in Redditch factory, UK. Then, in 1932, the iconic Bullet was unveiled to the world, and it was a revolutionary as well as a versatile bike for its time. Later, in 1948, Royal Enfield was the first British manufacturer to introduce swinging arm rear suspension, which in the succeeding year gave birth to the Royal Enfield 500 twins, such as the Interceptor and Meteor. And it was 1952 when us, the Indians, got involved, when the Madras Motors received an order for 800 350cc Enfield motorcycles for the Indian Army. Finally, in 1955, Enfield India was founded. Later, Royal Enfield also introduced the first of its kind, a 250cc Continental GT Cafe Racer in 1964. In 1967, unfortunately, Royal Enfield shuts its factory in the UK. But with popular demand, Enfield India continued manufacturing its iconic Bullet till HR Motors bought Enfield in 1994, and finally Royal Enfield Motors was established.
You stole my heart of gold after my silver soul. Can you dig any deeper now? I gave you all I own, put you on this golden throne, but I'm a little stronger now. You cashed in on my promises, you know I'm too generous. Now I've learned to never help you out, 'cause I'm done cleaning up your mess. Found myself in my regrets. I've become a little stronger now. A little stronger now.
So we are here with the original Bullet. So this is what started it all. Well, Royal Enfield was there before this bike as well, but then it shut down in the UK because Royal Enfield originally was a UK brand, as you've seen before and as you've told. But this bike was being run as Enfield India in India, and we had 350 and 500 variations in the different times, and sometimes there was only a 350 variant depending on the year of manufacture. So here we have the 1978 model 350 Bullet. So it's actually the most what do you say, classical bike you can have right now, because this bike has a huge cult following in India, and your teachers have it, your students, your classmates, even I have one. Probably you might also have one in the future, you never know. So Royal Enfield is something probably everyone's going to win at one point of time. So this bike is the 78 model we have, and it's actually a bit more powerful than the present 350. Like, to be frank, it's not much of a difference, but it's just 1 horsepower more than the 350 Classic which is available right now. So this bike comes at 346 cubic capacity, that is 346cc, and has around 21 bhp of power, and it's a good bike. Compared to the Classic 350, this comes with a 4-speed manual gearbox. So this bike's ergonomics is pretty much, as I said, just the other way around. The gear lever is on the right and the brake lever is on the left, leaving that the seating position is pretty much similar to the Classic 350 or the Bullet present, which you can find in the present day. So it's a pretty good bike when you ride. You know, it's a totally different experience, and the thump of the bike is what actually made the bike famous. The Bullet thump, you know, the thump is the sound. As soon as you start the bike, you can feel the, you know, you can feel it in your arms, you can feel the presence of the bike. It's like a different, it's like it's got its soul, you know. As soon as you switch it on, you can feel it. So it's a pretty good bike. It's pretty, you know, fast paced, and it's a very good performer as well. So we've been riding this, and we've been riding all the other models of the Royal Enfield. and we're going to test out all the bikes, and we're going to compare how this handles and how Royal Enfield over the years has come and how it's progressed towards this latest avatar, the Interceptor 650. That will be coming ahead as well.
You stole my heart of gold after my silver soul. Can you dig any deeper now?
And here we're riding the Classic 350, which is a 2015 model, and this is by far the most successful bike Royal Enfield has ever had, and these bikes have been selling like hotcakes. This is the original 350, which was launched in 2008, and it consists of a 346cc single cylinder engine producing 20 bhp or horsepower at 5250 rpm. This bike is air cooled and has a 5-speed gearbox compared to the 4-speed of the 78 model, and produces 28 Nm of torque at 4000 rpm. This is a very good bike, and its seating position and ergonomics are very similar to the 78 Bullet, but it's a pretty good bike. It's a very enjoyable bike, and you can have a jolly time riding it, and it's also very good for commuting. It's a heavy bike, and it's a Royal Enfield after all. So it handles pretty well. It has a top speed of 100-120 on the highway, and hence it becomes the perfect recipe. This also has a 500 sibling, but we won't be riding that. We will be looking at the Thunderbird 500 next. Today we are here with the Thunderbird 500. So this is the cruising segment of Royal Enfield. So it's a very famous bike. It's been sold a lot, not as much as the Classic though, but still we have quite a fair bit of Thunderbird fans out there. And this is the 500 variant here. So it's got 27 bhp of power and 41 Nm of torque. So it's a pretty fairly decent bike. It's got 20 liters of fuel tank capacity and gives around 30 kmpl of mileage. So it's a pretty decent bike for such, and mainly all these bikes are built to go anywhere because of the Indian terrain and the Indian roads. So all Royal Enfields are pretty capable in that way, and so we're going to ride this bike and compare it with all the other competitors, such as the basically each and every bike in the segment has a different variation. For example, the Himalayan is more of an adventure bike, the Interceptor is more of a highway cruiser, and this is also a cruiser in a way, but that is more ergonomically, this is more ergonomically friendly, so you can go longer on this. That also, it depends on person to person and choice to choice. We have no idea, that's why we're going to test it out. We're going to ride all the bikes consistently, and we're going to give you what kind of bike and how it handles compared to others. So now we are here with the Himalayan. So this is the adventure sector of Royal Enfield. So this is the first ever adventure bike they've made, and they made a good one. I can tell you that much. Because this bike is really good. It's really great for Indian roads, especially because you know how our roads are. Then it's got amazing ground clearance, which is the first thing I'm going to talk about with this bike. It's got 220 mm of ground clearance, so it's a beast, you can say, because that comes with all 4x4 vehicles. So you have a lot of plenty of ground clearance for this bike. So you can take it off-roading, you can take it extreme off-roading, you can do supercross if you want to. So that is how they showed the presentation of the entire Himalayan. They basically took it, supercross, or you can take it on a motocross track, and they jumped, and it was pretty impressive, to say the least. So how does this bike, how are the specs of the bike? Because we're usually seeing around 350, 500 or 650. So this is around 411cc, and it is a pretty sweet motor. It's got enough torque, it's got enough power for maneuvering it off-road and on-road as well. It is also a really good bike on the highway. So it's a really great bike overall. But the thing is, it's got around 24.3 bhp. So it's not as high as other adventure bikes, or it's not even close to that. But for our roads, it's more than enough. And then the bike is heavy. It's not as heavy as the Interceptor because it's still a single-cylinder motor. It's around 199 kilos of top weight of the bike. So it's got around 32 Nm of torque at 4,500 RPM. So it's pretty good. It's not high revving, but you don't need high revving. You always need especially the torque curve should be low in the initial RPM for the off-road. It's very ideal for off-roading. So that is all we need right now. And this you can see, bikes, stands still. The entire picture, you can say it speaks for itself. So that is all you need to know about the bikes. We're not going to take it off-roading because we know already that it's very capable because we've done it before. But this, we're mainly comparing it with the other Royal Enfield, like the Classic, the Interceptor, the Thunderbird. We're going to compare all the Royal Enfield bikes and see how well it performs with its siblings.
Yeah.
Hello everybody, so we are in the beautiful Chikmagalur, and this is the Mullangiri Hills of Chikmagalur. You can see it behind the background, so it's a beautiful place, and we are here with the 2020 Interceptor 650. So this is brand new, it's been here for a couple of years, but the thing is, this is the 2020 model we have here, and the main thing Royal Enfield has done is they've come up with a twin cylinder setup. This is for the first, so they've never done something like this, and there's always been a single cylinder for decades. But then this bike is a game changer as well, because this bike comes with a lot of torque, and it's got a smooth torque curve all the way, and it's basically a torque rocket. So when you're going on the highway, you need to overtake, you're in third or fourth gear, and you just need to open the throttle, and it's gonna, you're never gonna regret opening it. You can overtake without any hesitation. It's just easy as butter, smooth as butter. So the main thing is the bike is 648cc with 52 Nm of torque. So it's got like a really smooth torque curve. It's very smooth. You can, it's gradual torque, progressive. So it's not like you're gonna, you can feel it in all gears and at all RPMs. It's pretty decent. And this bike is a bit heavy compared to the other Royal Enfields, because anyway Royal Enfields were heavy before, but this bike, really takes the cake because it's 202 kilos. So that is a lot for the bike, but when you ride it, it's as nimble as a feather, so you won't even feel a thing. So it's a beautiful bike to ride. It's very smooth, it's really stable, and there's minimal vibrations, which is very hard to say for a Royal Enfield, because Royal Enfield is all about vibrations, as all the other bikes have shown. So this is about the specifications. So let's go on with the basically suspension setup and the ergonomics of the bike. So the suspension is pretty good. Like for Indian roads, they've obviously come up with decent ground clearance. 174 mm, and it's pretty good. And the brake calipers are by Brembo, which is basically by Brembo, and the performance is phenomenal. The braking power, the bite, the progressiveness, as well as the tires, brilliant. They can, they catch the road like with severe grip, and you can even pretty much take any corner, and you'll be confident, and you won't have any hesitation, no matter no matter what the weather is. And finally, we have the Continental GT, which is the 535, which was stopped in December 2017. But since we don't have a Continental GT 650, we're going to see how how the original performance motorcycle, which is the Cafe Racer from Royal Enfield, performs and stacks up against the modern rivals. So this bike specifications are pretty good. It is actually the most powerful bike at the time. So this bike comes with 535cc. So it was the most premium Royal Enfield bike you could buy for sport cafe segment. So this bike was really good, and it's really good still, even in 2020. Producing 29 bhp at 5100 rpm and 44 Newton meters of torque. It has a 5-speed gearbox and is 184 kilos of torque weight. It's pretty heavy, but not as heavy as the other siblings. The thing is, this is the first bike that came out with the Brembo caliper brakes, and because Brembo is one of the world's best and top leading brake manufacturers, and it also came with Paoli rear gas suspension. So it's better than any other bikes in the segment with the price range. So here we are with all the bikes. We are just leaving the Continental GT aside because that wasn't available today. But then here we can see that all the bikes we've ridden so far, we've seen the ergonomics, how it handles, how it performs, we've seen it all. But the thing is, at the core, all the bikes are pretty much cruisers. As Royal Enfield, is all about the heart of it, that is the engine. So all the bikes are great performers. Well, but no doubt the Interceptor 650 is a great bike, and comes ahead in a lot of it leaps ahead because of its refinement and performance, obviously. So it's the first Royal Enfield has come up, and it's as smooth as butter. So it's hard to say it's a Royal Enfield at all. But then it's a brilliant bike. So it's very refined, it's very powerful, it's very good for the highway. It's very it's comfortable, it's good for daily use. It's good in traffic as well. So it's pretty decent bike, overall. It's a really, really brilliant bike what Royal Enfield has come up with. But then we have the Himalayan. So it's a very versatile bike. It is, you can say, it can do it all. So you can go off-road, you can go, on road, no road, whatever. But it's got good power, it's got good performance. It's a very versatile bike, as you said. So it's a very good bike, and most people prefer, whoever go to Leh Ladakh, for long rides. I suggest that bike is the best to go. And then you have a lot of classic 350, which has a crazy cult following. The Bullet side, simultaneously. This entire brand has a cult following. So that's about it. So the classic 350 is a very good commuter. It's a cruiser as well. You can take it on highways. You can do it all again, but it's not a very stable off-roader, you could say. So most of you take it to Ladakh and Leh and all that, but still I suggest you would go with the Himalayan also. The Thunderbird 500 is a brilliant bike again. It's amazing for cruising. It's very, very comfortable, ergonomical, and it's powerful. For a 500, obviously you have even the 350 variant, but then they're coming up with a newer bike with a newer name, so let's see when that comes out. And we still have the 78 model, which is running as smooth as it's in its heyday. So it's pretty enjoyable still. It's got a lot of vibrations, it's got a lot of sound, it's got a lot of character. So it is how it is, even though that is what defined the Bullet these days, and because of it we've got such a big lineup today. And all I can say is each of the bikes have their own character, and I can't suggest one or the other bike because all of them are brilliant in one or the other way. So that is why I came to a conclusion that I can tell you that depending on the buyer, what his personal choices is, whether he wants a cruiser, he wants an adventure bike, he wants a off-roader or whatever, it's on the personal choice of and the opinion of the entire person. So all the bikes are really good and they perform brilliantly. So the main thing comes down to is that since Royal Enfield has come out with a 650, it would be great for us to see a Himalayan 650, which would be a very versatile bike as well as powerful at the same time. And so let's see how Royal Enfield has come up with such a brilliant bike today, and we're looking forward to the future of how more amazing bikes they come up with, and we'll keep you updated. Thank you, like, subscribe and share the video, and hope you enjoy.
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanity. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep. I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright.